Let's get into some fun trivia, shall we? What do Connor McDavid and Filipino have in common? It's the fact that they were both two of the worst hockey players in the NHL the past week. Today, we're taking a look at Smash Bros. 13 on Our Hockey, who posted the January 31st to February 5th best and worst team of the week in the National Hockey League. Now, if you've been paying attention to the course of the past few years of this YouTube channel, we talk about Smash Bros. 13 every once in a while because he he posts about these teams of the week, teams of the month, teams of the whatever, that talk about NHL players and dive into their hockey stat cards game score metric. Essentially, what they do is they analyze all the players in the NHL over the past 7 days or 31 days, depending on the span of time, of course, that they're measuring. And they take the collective game score from hockey stat cards, add them together, and you get the best team of the week plus the worst team of the week. It's always a fun little project to follow, and just taking a look at who is good, who is bad. It's always nice to keep track of these things. Best team of the week, by the way, in the NHL. Look at this top line. Barbashev, Eichel, and Mark Stone, all going out there as top-of-the-line contributors. Nick Schmaltz had an extremely high game score of 25.95. I think that is the top score out of everybody here. But of course, for vanity's sake, it was nice to have all those Vegas dudes listed as the 1, 2, 3. Quinn Hughes and Brock Faber were the two best defensemen in the NHL the past 7 days. Dahlin, Jordan Spence, and then you've got Lane Hudson and Tyler Kleven there at the bottom. Sammy Montembeault and Mackenzie Blackwood were the two best goaltenders. But then you have the worst team of the week, and this is where things get really, really intriguing. Take a look at the top 4 guys on the NHL's worst team of the week here. Matthias Janmark, Connor McDavid, and Zach Hyman all lead the charge as the 3 worst guys up front. The Nuge ain't too far back. He's at a minus 3.24. Jean-Gabriel Pageau and Anthony Duclair round out the rest of the top 6. You've got Cale Makar's elite brother Taylor Makar at a minus 309, Oscar Sundqvist, and then you have a whole bunch of Vancouver dudes. Filipino, Linus Karlsson, David Kampf, all rounding out the bottom 6. Taylor Hall didn't have himself a great week as well. Filip Hronek was listed as one of the worst defensemen in the NHL. Colton Parayko was the worst one. And then you have the goaltenders. Kevin Lankinen was the worst goalie in the league at a minus 5.97. And honestly, that checks out. When you think about Kevin Lankinen as an NHL goaltending option for the Vancouver Canucks, we already mentioned this in each of the post-game videos. But what time is it now, my friends? It's 5 past Kevin Lankinen. The guy's gone out there with 5 goals against Vegas, 6 against in Utah, 0 against the Anaheim Ducks in the team shutout that he shared with Nikita Tolopilo. He made 1 save in 2 minutes. So there you go. Good sample size there. 3 goals against versus the Sharks, 3 against versus Pittsburgh, 5 against versus New Jersey, 3 against Washington, 4 against New York, 4 against Columbus. You have to go all the way back to January 13th to find a game where Kevin Lankinen did not allow 3 or more goals. He let in 2 versus the Ottawa Senators in that game over there. 2 versus Toronto, 4, 3, 2, 4, 3, 3, 3, 2, 5. The guy's been leaking goals this season, and especially in the last week with 11 goals against on Vegas and Utah. Kevin Lankinen has been the total opposite of clutch. I'm not even going to go out there and say that he is like bad and he's the reason why all these goals went in. Like, I'm not going to say that if you put prime Carey Price in, he'd make all those saves. Vancouver hasn't been helping him out defensively, but the whole team is just kind of not pulling their weight. And it's why Teddy Bluger's comments the other day reigned so true that, yeah, there's a kind of losing culture, losing mentality within the Vancouver Canucks and their locker room. And they're coming off of a stretch of some really bad games. Kevin Lankinen, of course, a big part of that. But you just take a look at the results here in its entirety. Wins against Washington, wins against Anaheim. But other than that, this team doesn't win. And a team that doesn't win doesn't generally tend to have some positive results on the ice, which is why you are seeing Filipino, Carlson, David Kampf, and Filip Hronek all as some of the worst players in the league. But my gosh, Connor McDavid was the second worst forward in the National Hockey League this previous week. That's ridiculous, is it not? Now, for what it's worth, Connor McDavid has still been finding ways to score some points. 0 points against Toronto, 1 point against Calgary. 26 minutes of time on ice against the Flames, though. McDavid, for the most part, has been very, very good. This pace that he's at is on 136-point pace, so obviously he is generational still. He's going to go out there, easily get to 100 points, and finish off the season as yet another legend in the books. But when it comes to McDavid and his poor play, highlighting the worst team of the week for the past 7 days, I wanted to go out there and read the comments because this was a pretty interesting discussion to have here too. Kooky Ship says, is this the first time McDavid's been on the worst list, let alone the top? Top reply from Frog Puppet says, I was watching Leafs and Oilers and 100% McDavid is trying not to get hurt before the Olympics. The Guys Here 16 says, I think he's just gassed. His average time on ice is up over a full minute from last year. Also, it's the highest it's been in his career. Also, this is during a condensed schedule, in back-to-back finals appearance seasons as well, so the guy's been playing a lot of hockey over the past 2 years. You can debate whether or not it's really slowing him down. You can debate whether or not this has taken a toll on him the past 7 days or so. But Connor Mac, heading into the Olympic break, definitely is reserving some of his best hockey for that tournament. Gotta have him playing the full 2 minutes on the power play and 1:30 on the PK because of reasons. Chris Knobloch for the Jack Adams. Yeah, okay, that's an entire other discussion if you wanted to talk about the way Edmonton is being coached. I'd say the same thing about McKinnon and Makar. They've looked like completely different players for the last month. While it sucks for fans of the teams, if that's truly what it is, I'm kind of glad they're going all in for the Olympics. At least McDavid is still skating hard. Draisaitl just coasts out there. In that Calgary game, the next night, Draisaitl was so slow just to get to the bench for a change on a 4-on-4, they couldn't get a guy out until it was too late, and it directly caused a Calgary odd-man rush. Now, make no mistake here, Leon Draisaitl, he ain't on the worst team of the week list, like Janmark, Nuge, McDavid, and Hyman. But finally shifting gears over to some positive news. That Nathan McKinnon, by the way, he's on the best team of the week, 702 rating as a third-line center. I wanted to talk about Lane Hutson, and I also wanted to talk about Sammy Montembeault. Hutson has been a man on a mission, and in regards to Samuel Montembeault, he did have himself an established win over the Winnipeg Jets this previous week, which propelled him to getting the best goaltender award out of the NHL and its list of goalies. .973 save percentage, 36 saves on 37 total shots against in a 5-1 victory over the Jets. Make no mistake, you hear 5-1 win, it kind of feels like, the Montreal Canadiens smoked Winnipeg. But then you look at the high danger chances, you look at the quality that Winnipeg was throwing on goal and how Montembeault was throwing it all away. And it's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. No wonder Sammy Montembeault had himself the best goaltending score over a guy that got a shutout in Mackenzie Blackwood. So with all that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the NHL's best and worst team of the week this week. Of course, I say this week as if it wasn't posted 2 days ago, but still, the NHL is not going to continue playing for the next little while, which is going to make things pretty stagnant in terms of developing new teams of the week and whatnot. But what are your thoughts on McDavid getting named one of the worst forwards in the league, Filip Hronek, Kevin Lankinen, Linus Karlsson, Filipino, and David Kampf being named to the worst team for Vancouver? And what are your thoughts on Sammy Montembeault and his explosion against Winnipeg? Thoughts in the comments section. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on. And bye.